Welcome back to Capital Tide. I'm Tim Boehm. Carrboro, the small town outside of Chapel Hill, made national headlines last week when it announced that it is suing Duke Energy over climate change. The suit alleges that Duke Energy knew about the impacts of its operations and climate change for more than 50 years, but didn't make any changes to lessen those impacts. A handful of similar lawsuits have been filed against utility companies across the country. This is a first in North Carolina. Most of these types of lawsuits have been about oil companies in the past as well. Joining us now is Yael Ossowski, Deputy Director of the Consumer Choice Center. Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me, Tim.
Absolutely. So what do you make of this lawsuit?
Well, I think it's very interesting that this creeps on over to North Carolina. We've seen a lot of these cases spring up in California, Honolulu. We've seen it in Minneapolis. And normally it's a lot of people who would come from the state government or environmental groups, and they sue various oil and gas companies and saying that they're responsible for climate change or that they've gone against some kind of deception or consumer fraud laws. This time, it's the first time that we actually have an electricity utility, and one that actually has pivoted a lot towards using carbon-free energy sources like nuclear energy. So I think this is a bit of a stretch. Obviously, this small town, if anyone knows it, is just outside of Chapel Hill. The mayor likely trying to make a name for herself. But we really don't have a true debate about climate change or about energy or even looking at what the future of the company is. The state of North Carolina has really made great strides in providing carbon-proof or carbon-free electricity. They've been able to do so and trying to catch up to South Carolina, which is already over 50%. North Carolina is already at 32% of natural gas for all of its electricity generation. So there's a lot that is actually very positive. So that's why I'm a bit perplexed by this lawsuit right now, because it aims to take one of the companies that's actually doing something about climate change and tries to hold it liable.
I guess their argument is that they knew about this 50 plus years ago, and now Carrboro is paying for it. I think they think it cost them some $60 million or whatnot. You know, we've seen these types of arguments about smoking companies, and we've seen settlements in other industries and type. Is it that wild if they did know and didn't do it now? But also secondarily to that, if Carrboro was to win this, obviously every town across their footprint would sue them and they go bankrupt, right?
Absolutely. And that's what I think a lot of places are probably very much afraid of. But I think that's why the American system is just very good. It's able to stop many of the frivolous lawsuits that might be filed or those without evidence. So we don't know if this is going to go forward until a judge agrees to take it up. But it's absolutely true. And again, these companies are obviously the boogeyman of the situation, but they're providing all of the different solutions right now. There are coal plants that are being dismantled across North Carolina to install new natural gas plants. They want to actually put up new small modular reactors to have the next generation of nuclear energy. They're active with these plans now. Obviously, you can argue what they knew in the past, but everyone has been debating about climate change and the role of industry for a long time. That doesn't mean that there's exactly one company, because the companies that have provided us all of that energy, we've been customers. We've paid into that. We've filled up of our cars, we've heated our homes. So we're basically just as guilty as any company as we have been consumers. So now we have to think about what the next step is. And the companies that are actually making a difference, that are investing in the kind of carbon-free technologies, I think that's something to celebrate, not necessarily take them to court, try to get some huge winnings and make it so that we're just going to have higher energy bills at the end of the day.
A lot of people are going to relate this back to lawsuits against oil companies who are often seen as sort of rich companies, but they're also private. This is a utility that is highly regulated. Do you think that would make a difference too, particularly in front of a jury or a judge?
I think somewhat, because obviously a company like Duke Energy interacts with regulators basically every single day. They have to go to all the different utility commissions, basically in every state where they operate. And they have been putting out, again, nuclear energy, which is not just regulated at the local level and the state level, but also the federal government. So they've been interacting with regulators for years and years and years. And again, they've changed their plans because North Carolina wanted to plot a path and to be carbon neutral. I think, that's not something that we're really going to be able to litigate in a court. I think where we need to have a lot of competition is in the energy sector. And if we're just going to be suing every company that wants to make a difference or is actually providing us solutions now, it's just really not the best path for consumers who are really going to try to benefit from cheap, low-cost energy, which really in the U.S. we're very lucky to have. Most other places in the world do not have as abundant and clean and affordable energy like we have in the United States.
Okay. Well, I know you'll continue to follow it, and hopefully we'll have you back on as the developments happen as well. Good to see you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Jim. All the best.
All right, that's going to do it for tonight. As always, if it's on Jones Street or Main Street, you will find it right here in Capitol tonight. Stay safe. Look after each other. We will see you right back here.